Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster, and we are here to do part 3 of What If Deku Had Kaido's Powers. Now then, with that, before the video starts and such, happy Thanksgiving if you're in the US. If you're not, then I guess it's just another day for you, so whatever. But, ha- well, either way, happy holidays, and hope you enjoy, so hit it. Okay, so then, when we get to, let's get to the what if. Now then, as everyone's in class, Aizawa states that they have something to do now. And he reveals that it's to pick a class representative. So, this goes pretty much as in canon where Zuku is picked. As, yeah, we can skip over this little section a bit since it goes pretty similar to in canon. So we head over to the lunch area as everyone is remarking about the press that's in front of the school harassing all the students that on their way to class. As we see class 1A sitting together and talking. Mina brings up asking the question stating, "So, Midoriya, us, you and Sue are dating, right?" Which he just says, "Yeah, why?" With her saying, "Wow, that was blunt." As as he, they just continue talking, and Izuku asked, being curious about his classmates' quirks. So they do list off their quirks and what they can do. And he makes sure to memorize them just in case. So Bakugo scoffs, being still a little pissed about losing the heroes versus villains test, remarking how powerful Izuku is now compared to how he was before getting into UA. This catches some of his classmates' attention, with Todoroki asking what Bakugo meant by that. Izuku scratched his head, stating, "Well, about 2 weeks before the, well, actually 2 months before the exam, I kind of lost the ability to transform. During that time, it was like my quirk was incubating, and the when the exam came up, and I was finally able to use my power in a stressful situation with that zero pointer robot, I transformed into like a really larger form than what I used to be able to." With Ochako and Ida remarking that it was pretty insane, especially with the intense fire breath that he used to destroy the zero pointer after he headbutted the thing up into the air. Due to the whole circumstances of the test and such so forth, the rest of his classmates haven't actually seen Izuku's uh, full dragon mode. Though Sue chimes in stating that his new form is pretty incredible. That makes her think of some old stories from mythology. So yeah, as that was going on, the gate has been disintegrated and the press is flooding in the UA. As the alarm goes off for intruders, everybody panics as they're told that this hasn't happened in the entire time that the kid telling them this has been in UA, and this is obviously the one of the third years, as the entirety of the hallway is jam packed and everybody's getting smushed. Izuku sees that it's actually just the press and gets annoyed. Emerging some claws from his hands, he just jumps up and goes directly for the stop sign, clawing up the wall to get there, yelling at everybody to be quiet, telling them that it's just the press and to calm down. To show people that there's a reason why they're in UA. After that happened, everyone did calm down. Though Principal Nezu was unnerved that someone destroyed the front gate just to let reporters in, thinking that it wouldn't be that simple, or it wouldn't be a prank like that, especially doing it towards UA. So, yeah, the sentiment is shared by Cementos and Midnight who are there, who are certain that this is some act of hostility towards Hero Society. We speed up to the point to where we get to where everybody's getting on the bus for the USJ. As they get on and start to relax, people remark about one another's quirks, with calling out that Todoroki, Bakugo, and Izuku could definitely end up being top tier heroes with their quirks. With Sue mentioning that it makes sense considering his aunt is actually Ryoko the Dragon Hero, which surprises some of them, though given his dragon like form he takes, does make a little sense. So it does go pretty well. As this continues, they just get over to the USJ, which is where they meet 13, who introduces herself and explains the purpose of this facility to train young heroes in order to deal with disaster level, uh, disaster level events to help rescue people and all that. As we get to where obviously Kurogiri shows up, opening a portal, flooding villains in, with Aizawa telling the students to get out of here and to hurry up and leave, as he goes into the fray like in canon, just wailing, like just destroying the low level villains. Izuku's not happy about this, obviously, but decides to go with it. Until Kurogiri gets there and just full on gets attacked by Hiroshima and Bakugo just rushing in, getting into 13's way. As they are now teleported across the USJ. It's the same lineup as in Canon where they got teleported, though as Izuku's falling, each does a full transformation and is flying above the water. As he looks around to see if anybody else got teleported with him, he sees Sue holding on to Mineta as he goes and grabs her, tossing her on to her back with Mineta, trying to get a sense of what's going on. Though he is getting somewhat berated by some of the villain's water quirks, as he tells Sue and Mineta that he has an idea to deal with these guys. Mineta is freaking out, especially since they're so high up and he's literally riding a giant dragon. So he's just complying while crippled by fear. So it's a somewhat similar plan as in canon, as Izuku powers up, being covered with the green lightning. If you remember from the previous parts, while in this full transformation state, it causes a odd localized weather phenomenon. In this case, it's actually being doubling as a type of signal that something's going on at the USJ to all the surrounding areas. As for Ida, he does get out, like in canon, with the assist of his classmates. And uh, Izuku charges up his breath attack to shoot directly at the water, causing a similar effect as in canon, though does heat up the water a good bit. As Mineta hurries up and throws as many of the balls off of his head into the water, catching them. As he goes to fly over to see if Aizawa's okay, the Zuku in this one, instead of uh, Eraserhead getting attacked by the Nomu, Shigaraki gives the Nomus orders to deal with the giant dragon kid. So Izuku is directly uppercutted by the Nomu while in mid-flight. His scales are pretty hard, and he doesn't pass out, but he uses the end of his tail to grab onto Sue and Mineta and toss them into the tree area for them to land in safely into the leaves and branches and stuff. As he's reeling back from this, the Nomu tries to go for another attack, but the Zuku, charging up one for all in his dragon form, charges at it for a headbutt. This does cause a significant shockwave that does blow back some of the low-ranked villains as well as Shigaraki and Kurogiri, with Izuku getting a bit of a headache from that hit. Though as the Nomu is beginning to fall, due to the fact that this was a mid-air collision, Izuku charges up a breath attack to fire directly at the Nomu, blasting it into the ground, where it is pretty damaged and starting to regenerate. As for Aizawa, he does still get his arm partially decayed by uh, Shigaraki. With all the villains seeing this, they just start to panic and try to run. Or at least get to some place for some cover. As the Nomu begins to regenerate to full force, this is where we see All Might burst in. However, he isn't alone this time, due to the local storm anomaly that caught everybody's on the outside's eye. A good number of heroes that were in the area ended up showing up along with All Might. As All Might told Izuku to gather up his classmates and get them to the entrance, while All Might went and attacked the Nomu, having a similar fight as in canon. Izuku tells All Might that he seems to have regenerative abilities and shock absorption, which All Might does take in consideration. So while that fight's going on, Izuku's flying around grabbing all of his classmates who are seeing his full dragon form for the first time, with Kirishima saying, "This is so manly," to the point to where he even gets to the area where Jiro and Momo are stuck being held hostage while the electrical villain holds Denki in his hands, threatening them. So, yeah. So, when he sees Zuku in his dragon form, he's stunned very heavily, long enough for Jiro to use her earphone jacks to blast sounds at him, blowing him away, bringing Denki. Zuko grabs them and heads towards the entrance. As for the heroes that got there along with All Might, they scattered, taking out the villains that they came across, as All Might blows Nomu away like in canon. Izuku does drop off all of his classmates over towards the entrance, which is about when the UA faculty got there to help with the cleanup, and with Shigaraki and Kurogiri just full on bailing. All Might is about to collapse, and there's a bunch of other heroes that aren't supposed to know about his weakened state, so Izuku flies over, stating that he's gonna check on All Might after such an intense battle, and lands blocking everybody's view with his large dragon body, with Dementos coming blocking off and telling Izuku he got this and to meet up with his classmates as he flies away to the entrance. After getting there, he sighs, remarking that this was a pretty eventful day, with Sue chopping them in the head, stating, "Idiot." He asked, "Why am I an idiot?" It, he just sees Sue tearing up a little bit, and he says, "Sorry if I worried you. Didn't mean to." As they go off to the bus, loading up and getting everybody accounted for, they get sent off to school, while All Might goes to Recovery Girl to get patched up. Yeah. So everything goes pretty smoothly. So before leaving, Izuku ended up going to the nurse's office, telling Sue that he has to go check on something, meeting with All Might, checking if he's okay, with All Might stating that he'll be fine, though he probably lost a good bit of power, lessening his ability to stay in his buff form even longer. So, yeah. As the police officer comes in, and Zuko finds out that this guy is a good friend of All Might's, as well as someone who knows about One for All. So, it so with that taken care of, they do leave the premises of UA as they all go home, with Izuku turning into his dragon form to escort Sue home after something like this, and flying back only to get home and be berated with questions from his mom, dad, and his aunt about the incident that happened at the USJ. He tells them what happened and states that they're all fine, and that All Might got there in time in order to defeat that weird Nomu thing, with Ryoko stating that she's actually heard some news on that. Ever since they caught it, it's been compliant, hasn't done anything hostile, and does whatever it's told. It's almost like it's just some kind of doll to be given orders. It's weird. not to mention that whole multiple quirk thing. So, yeah, Zuku is somewhat unnerved about that, very much so. So, as for the villains, Shigaraki regrettably tells his master that they lost Nomu, as well as All Might defeating him, sending him flying, and another some kid that turned into a dragon that could was able to withstand and go toe to toe with Nomu as well, giving a description of his form. Though Kurogiri, before leaving, did take the surveillance. They left the surveillance systems alone in case their plan failed, so that they can gather data for the next fight. Using it, using the data they stole and expunged from the USJ records, he shows them the dragon form that Zuku took, with all for one being very interested in this incredible power. Though, for now, it will end it at this point. I do hope you enjoyed this What If. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell and set it to all so that you're properly notified. Remember, due to updates in the system, you do have to make sure that the bell is set to all so that you are notified. Now then, with everything all set, hope you have a good day and happy holidays. See you later.